Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Josie Krenzel, and I am a kindergarten teacher with over 25 years of experience teaching, including roles as an instructional coach and county PD facilitator. However, my true passion lies in teaching kindergarten, and I am thrilled to support you as you embark on your teaching journey with our county. To assist you in understanding how early reading skills can benefit all children, especially multilingual learners and those who need extra time, I have provided a printed copy of this slideshow for you to take notes on. Additionally, you will find a baggie filled with literacy manipulatives that we will use to practice some activities during today's presentation. Inside your baggie, you will find colored tiles, letter tiles, a dry erase marker with an eraser, and a laminated Elkonin box page featuring a different version on each side. And then, of course, a pen and post-it notes. So let's get started. Let's take a moment to revisit the 5 pillars of reading. These foundational literacy skills are crucial building blocks for both reading and writing. I've included a QR code for a quick refresher on definitions of the 5 pillars if you need it. But for today, we're going to concentrate on phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, systematic phonics and their connection to orthographic mapping, high frequency and irregular word instruction. And then additionally, we will discuss differentiation for older struggling readers and designing and adapting instruction for multilingual learners. Phonological awareness is an essential component of early reading skills. It's the ability to hear, recognize, and manipulate the sound structures of spoken language. And what's interesting is that it doesn't involve looking at printed letters or words. This auditory skill involves several activities: identifying words within sentences, recognizing and producing rhymes, and noticing alliterations. You might also find students clapping and counting syllables or working with onset and rhyme. These activities help them focus on larger units of spoken language. It's important to notice that phonemic awareness, which is the ability to identify and manipulate individual sounds or phonemes, is a more advanced skill within phonological awareness. While phonological awareness covers broader sound patterns, phonemic awareness zooms in on the individual sounds that make up words. Understanding these distinctions will greatly aid in developing effective teaching strategies for young learners. Phonological awareness activities are incredibly important for early literacy development. Let's explore some engaging activities that can help young learners build their phonological awareness. First, the first activity that we have is called word awareness. This activity involves counting words in sentences. For example, in the sentence, "The sun is hot." Children can clap or use markers to count each word, identifying that there are 4 words in total. This simple exercise lays the groundwork for understanding the concept of words as distinct units. Next, we will focus on syllable awareness. This is another activity, super easy to do. When we do this, we're going to begin with compound words like butterfly or toothpaste. We're going to encourage children to clap for each syllable as they say the word. This helps them break down words into smaller, more manageable parts, improving their ability to recognize and produce symbols. Finally, we practice onset and rhyme. For example, take the word sat and break it into its onset, s, and its rhyme, at. So if we have that word sat, s, at, that's how we break that apart into onset and rhyme. This activity helps children understand the building blocks of words, fostering their ability to manipulate sounds and form new words. These activities not only make learning fun, but also crucially support the development of foundational skills in reading and writing. Before children can effectively learn to read, it's crucial for them to develop an understanding of how sounds function within words. This foundational skill is known as phonemic awareness. First, let's explore what phonemes are. Phonemes represent the smallest units of sound in a word that can change its meaning. For example, the phoneme k in the word cat to b gives us bat, altering the meaning entirely. Let me make sure I said that correctly. Changing the phoneme k in the word cat to b gives us bat, altering the meaning entirely. Phonemic awareness is purely about sound. It doesn't involve reading or writing. Instead, it focuses on listening and speaking tasks. This is where segmenting and blending come into play. Two critical skills in phonemic awareness. Segmenting involves breaking a word down into its individual phonemes, while blending is about combining those phonemes to form words. It's also important to note that phonemic awareness is distinct from phonics, as it doesn't involve letters or print. The skills developed through phonemic awareness activities such as identifying, isolating, and manipulating sounds are essential as children transition to understanding how these sounds relate to written language. Phonemic awareness instruction is fundamental in laying the groundwork for reading success. Let's focus on how we can make the instruction effective and engaging for young learners. First, it's important to start with simple concepts and gradually progress to more complex ones. For instance, begin with activities that involve counting sounds in words rather than letters, and gradually incorporate more challenging tasks like blending and segmenting. The I do, we do, you do model is a powerful strategy here. Start by modeling the activity yourself, then practice together with the students, and finally allow them to try independently. This gradual release of responsibility helps students gain confidence and mastery over time. Incorporate short, frequent practice sessions. These practice moments are crucial for reinforcing learning and helping it stick. Finally, consider using the sound spelling mapping activity, which is akin to Elkonin boxes. This involves children moving chips into boxes to represent each sound in a word, such as in take, t, a, k. This visual and tactile method aids in breaking down words into phonemes, making the abstract concept of sounds more concrete. By implementing these strategies, we can create an inclusive and supportive learning environment that fosters phonemic awareness effectively. We will explore the critical connection between spoken sounds and written symbols, a fundamental aspect of learning to read. This is where phonics comes into play. Phonics is all about understanding the systematic and predictable ways that letter-sound relationships work. It's essential for developing the skills needed to decode words and print effectively. One key concept here is orthographic mapping. This term refers to the process of storing words permanently in our memory, allowing for instant retrieval. Think of it as building a mental dictionary that aids in fluent reading. Systematic phonics instruction is vital because it supports the gradual development of letter sound knowledge. It combines this knowledge with oral blending techniques, helping students develop robust phonemic decoding skills. Remember, phonics isn't a curriculum. It's a method that needs to be taught systematically and explicitly. The structured approach ensures that students can confidently navigate the world of words. As we move on, we'll see how these principles are applied in classroom activities and how they contribute to a broader language arts achievements. When teaching phonics, it's essential to focus on a few key components to build a strong foundation for reading and writing. So we're going to be exploring phonics explores patterns such as consonant vowel consonant words or CVC words, CVC sneaky E words, CVVC has the double vowels there in the middle, which are foundational to understanding letter sound relationships. Start by introducing these common patterns. The CVC pattern, for instance, involves consonant vowel consonant words like cat or dog. It's a straightforward way to help students recognize how sounds blend together. The CVC sneaky E pattern introduces the silent E that changes the vowel sound as seen in cake. The practice of blending sounds to read and segmenting to spell is crucial, encouraging students to sound out words, converting printed letters into spoken sounds. This skill is vital for decoding, where they can tackle unfamiliar words with confidence. Remember, encoding is equally important. It involves translating spoken sounds into written symbols. By understanding how phonemes match up with graphemes, students can improve their spelling and writing skills. As you guide your students through these activities, emphasize the importance of systematic phonics and orthographic mapping, which will support their journey to becoming proficient readers and writers. High frequency words are essential for young readers because they appear so often in text. Think of the words like the, and, and to. These are the building blocks of reading fluency. Now let's discuss irregular words. These are tricky because they don't follow the usual phonics rules, making them harder to decode. Words like was, said, do, and from fall into this category. Finally, we have sight words. These can be any words that a reader recognizes instantly without needing to decode them. The goal is for students to automatically recognize these words to improve their reading speed and comprehension. By teaching students to identify both high frequency and irregular words, we help them become more confident and fluent readers. Remember, practice and repetition are key in helping students master these words. High frequency and irregular word instruction activities, particularly the concept of heart words, will be what we're going to focus on next. These words these are the words where some sounds don't follow typical phonemic patterns. As educators, we can help students by highlighting the regular parts of these words and emphasizing the irregular parts that need to be memorized by heart. This method allows students to understand which components of a word are predictable and which are not, making the learning process more manageable. The University of Florida Literacy Institute suggests a detailed approach. Students should pronounce the word, break it into sounds, map those sounds to letters, and practice writing while saying the sounds. This multi-step process not only aids in retention, but also builds a solid foundation for reading and spelling skills. So if you notice on this slide, we have the heart word said. If I were teaching this in my class, and we typically would do this during morning meeting, I would have them echo that word back to me, said. We would tap out those sounds that we hear, s, e, d. How many sounds do we hear? We hear 3 sounds. Okay, and then I would go back and I would say, what was the first sound we heard? S. What letter makes that sound? And I would write that letter. And then we would go to the next sound, e, and they would obviously say letter E, says and that's where I would have to stop and say, okay, so this is a heart word. This is part of this word that we are just going to have to remember in our heart, that for the word said, that sound is going to be spelled with an AI. We'd write that in. That's one sound, even though it's 2 letters. We write it in one box and we put a heart over it. That's the part that we're going to remember by heart. And then our final sound, D, that follows the normal rule, and that letter is what? It's D. And so then we would write that. We would go back and spell that word again, and then we would also keep an eye out for that word as we move through our day, and we'd have opportunities to spell that word and write it. When working with older struggling readers, a tailored approach is crucial. Begin by emphasizing the importance of following a logical progression in reading and writing activities. This includes listening, speaking, decoding, and encoding. Introduce the strategies of chunking and looping. These techniques help break words into smaller, manageable parts, which can significantly enhance decoding skills. Encourage students to think about their thought processes as they tackle unfamiliar words. This builds metacognitive skills. Another critical area is background knowledge. Before introducing new concepts, connect them to what students already know. This connection aids in comprehension and retention. Incorporate word analysis into the content they're studying to make learning more relevant and engaging. Morphology instruction is another powerful tool. By exploring roots, prefixes, and suffixes, students can strengthen their word recognition skills. This not only aids in decoding, but also in understanding the meaning of new words. Lastly, offer opportunities for students to engage with multimodal text and respond in various ways. This approach caters to different learning styles and keeps students engaged. Ensure the materials are age appropriate and relevant, featuring content area vocabulary that resonates with their interests and academic needs. So, all in all, when we have older, struggling readers, we need to make sure that we're still giving them those skills that they need. We just need to introduce those and practice those in ways that are age appropriate. When teaching students that are multilingual, leveraging English, Spanish cognates can be incredibly effective. This can build a bridge between the two languages. It's crucial, however, to explain the differences in pronunciation and spelling between English and Spanish, as these can often trip students up. Students can draw from their Spanish knowledge, such as understanding of syllables and shared Latin roots. These aspects can greatly aid in recognizing similar word meaning across both languages. However, they might require more support with English vowel sounds and spelling patterns, which are quite different from Spanish. Vocabulary instruction should be dynamic and interactive. Encourage students to hear, repeat, and discuss new words. They should also examine the spelling and practice using these words in both spoken and written forms. Lastly, remember that evidence-based instruction for multilingual learners should integrate vocabulary teaching within content instruction. Provide intensive academic vocabulary instruction and small group support to cater to their specific needs. Okay, as we move into this interactive session, you'll have the opportunity to put theory into practice. Now we're going to use those supplies that you received earlier. Each table has a set of review instructions and word lists. These materials are designed to help you practice phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and phonics strategies. Each of you will have the chance to play the role of both the teacher and student. This will give you a unique perspective on how these activities can be adapted to meet different student needs. As you engage in these activities, consider how you might modify them to better support ESL students. Reflect on how the activities could be adjusted to challenge or support students based on their individual needs. This is a great opportunity to think creatively and inclusively about instructional strategies. And remember, I'm going to be circulating around the room to offer guidance and answer any questions that you might have, so don't hesitate to ask for help. And we will take 15 minutes for that. Okay, if everyone can come back together, and we're going to bring our attention back up here to our slideshow. We have some key takeaways. The most important takeaway is that reading development is not based on one isolated skill. Students need carefully connected instruction in listening, speaking, sound awareness, phonics, word recognition, vocabulary reading, and writing. When instruction is explicit, systematic, engaging, and responsive to students' individual needs, we give every learner a stronger opportunity to experience reading success. As teachers, our goal is to not simply help students memorize words. Our goal is to help them understand how language works so they can independently read, spell, write, and make meaning from text. I want to thank you for your attention and participation today. I hope the strategies and materials that we practice with will provide you with useful tools that you can begin applying in your classroom. I encourage you to continue sharing questions, ideas, and experiences as you apply these strategies in your classroom. Please feel free to reach out if you would like support, additional resources, or opportunities to practice these strategies together. And this last slide here is just some pictures of some activities that we've done in my classroom. As you can see, we've done a lot of things together on the carpet. So kids are using a spinner, it lands on a picture, and then they all have to say that word. We tap out the sounds in that word, and then they write that word on their dry erase sleeves. Another little picture there, we have some letters that we were reviewing. They had little characters that they wound up, and whatever letter their character landed on, they would have to tell me that letter and the sound that it makes. We've got some practice of blending. We had some heart word practice where students put the heart word on their forehead, and students around the room would go up to each other and they would have to read that word, and they would write that word down on their little clipboard. And then another activity is pulling out items out of a box, and they would have to say what the item is. And then depending on what we were working on, they might give me the beginning sound, they might segment that word, or after they give me the beginning sound, then they would have to find that letter and place the object on that letter. So lots of fun things to do. I want to thank you again, and if you are looking for a resource that will help you with phonemic awareness in your classroom, I want to suggest Heggerty. We use this in our school. I think most schools in our county use it. It's a very good resource and will help get you started. Thank you again, and these are my resources. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend.